is what you're saying.
It's a form of Western imperial privilege to claim the epistemological norms of objectivity in science are epistemologically neutral.
That's just absurd.
Universities should be politically neutral. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, move.
Wow.
Okay. Why
Okay,
are you
then.
Why are you there?
I feel like there should be a line in the sand where universities have, like, if corporations should be able to say what they want to say in the form of donations, universities should also be allowed to do so, whether that be with their money, like i.e. divestment, or in forms like formal statements from the board or the president.
Okay. And why are you there?
Because it's not the job of the university to make political pronouncements. It's the job of the university to educate students.
Okay. Let's go back to neutral, please. Universities should be able to invest in companies. Move. All right. Certain companies are politically motivated. Move. Okay.
I want to know why he's only on the agree for that.
I'm pretty sure you're on that.
Oh, but you can.
Would you
say
go
that.
there?
Go in the same way.
Yes, you can
Yeah.
go with the same one. Okay, how about this? If a university is heavily invested in politically motivated companies, then the university is politically compromised. Why are you there?
I feel like that's a logical like set of actions. It's like if you can invest in a company if the company is slightly political, therefore you're investing in a slightly political cause.
What do you think?
Maybe they're just ruthless, relentless capitalists and couldn't possibly care less. And maybe their primary mission, their fiduciary duty is to the stockholders, and all they want to do is make money. And so they're invested in a company that they may or may not share the beliefs, but it's just about money.
Yeah, because how about this claim? Investing in a company biases you as the investor,
What do you mean by biases?
or like creates a risk of you becoming compromised in some way. Okay, but and also if a company donates to the university, that is more compromising than the university investing in the company.
Oh, that's an interesting claim. Yeah.
Like
I need to think about that for a second. That's super interesting.
yeah, a company donates to the university. That's one form of financial transaction, but the university can invest in a company. The investment in the company is more compromising than the company donating to the university.
I know, you got to think about it. It's a tough one. I know.
Why?
Well, I was just thinking about when a company donates to the university, I guess it could just be that it would be a strategic decision that they would make. And so usually they would want something back from the university. And that could come as a form of not asking the university to restrict speech, but making certain types of speech more difficult.
Okay. Any opinions on that?
On one hand, I want to say that a transaction is like two ways. Like if theoretically it's just one person giving to another person and then you switch it and it should be the exact same. On the other hand, the university has the right to refuse a gift, and if they accept it, that's different from refusing it. And by refusing it, they would say something about why they would want to refuse it. Whereas if they invest in something, they're choosing to do so.
Can I call it?
Yeah.
I'm not going to name the name of the university, but there's a university that took significant amounts of money, university I happen to know very well, from countries in the Middle East. And there's absolutely no question whatsoever that that biased their perspective on the conflict in Israel-Palestine.
What is the most pro-Israel company?
Let me think. Give me a minute. Let me think.
Some kind of super PAC?
Although, like, the rejoinder to that would just be how much money did they get from, like, the other side of the equation.
Well, that's what you need to know, right?
Yeah.
I mean, so I think you're actually making the point. And the point is that whoever gave the most money, there would be a dangling carrot and a stick. You won't get any more money if you don't do this. You know, so money absolutely influences the discourse. There's just no question about it. I don't know the most pro-Israel company. I don't know who they would be. I don't know, maybe something owned by Joe Lonsdale, Palantir. I don't know.
Wasn't the question? What was the question again?
I think the most recent one was,
Right.
it's worse if the university invests than a company donating.
I think it's worse than I think it's worse if a company donates. In fact, I'm going to move to the strongly disagree. The more I think about it, the worse it becomes.
Let's just make it concrete. Go back to neutral. I would be a fan of Palantir donating $10 million to Williams College.
Versus.
Just that.
Okay.
I would want that to happen. Okay. If that happened, would that cause the university to not be politically neutral?
Yeah, I think that it's like by accepting a gift or of some form, that means you're saying, yeah, I like you. Same way if like your Aunt Martha gives you a gift, but and you take it, you're like, oh, okay, you're part of the family, etc. Whereas if she was estranged, I don't know, you don't like her, and you still and you refuse her gift, that's making a statement.
Okay. What do you think? You rethought it?
Yeah, I'm rethinking it. I think.
By the way, when you move, is that in response to like me or just like in response to the
It's in
original questions?
response. I'm thinking through the question as he says it. It's difficult. It's a difficult question because they wouldn't. Do you know the Monty Python skit "Wink, Wink, Nudge, Nudge"? You're too young. It's a great skit. I'm sure they know it. You know the skit, right? Yeah. So it would be like someone would give money and they'd say, "Oh, we expect nothing." I mean, of course they expect something, right? So yeah.
But it's different if you like get the gift, right? Because now you can just use it for whatever. You can like if I get like I don't know, a gift card or something from Aunt Martha, I can use that gift card to do whatever I want. Whereas if I'm the one giving her the gift card, she gets to do whatever she wants with it.
Okay, go back to neutral. If Palantir donated $10 million to Williams College, there would be no expectation of a quid-pro-quo thing happening.
You're right. No one's naive about this.
Okay. Is that consistent with what you just said?
About whether or not sorry, repeat it.
I thought I heard you say, as long as people are donating, there's no expectation of really anything bad to happen? Or is that fair?
No. So I said that if you get a gift, usually you can do whatever you want with it.
Yes.
In the end, it becomes your choice. They gave it to you already. You have expectations, but in the end, it's your money now.
Do whatever they want with it?
There might be stipulations like, oh, you have to fund like a center or something. Yeah.
Okay. What do you think?
I think if a company that was very pro-Israel gave $10 million to this college, and then they went out and they built a Hamas recognition center,
Yeah.
I think that might cause some issues.
I mean, again, doesn't that depend on the initial stipulations though? Like, if you imply that it was like freely like giving that money.
It doesn't depend on the stipulations at all, because money given is never free.
I would say if I gave you 50, or if you gave me $50, like.
Yeah, I'm not sure it works with your aunt or your. There's no, requirement that your aunt there's no reciprocity in love that way when you give a gift. But when you're given a lot of money from a donor, particularly if the donor has strong views, strong political views or ideological leanings, there's almost definitely a wink, wink, nudge, nudge there.
I have another tangential claim.
Okay.
Go back to neutral. Can you explain what the term epistemically neutral means?
Yeah, so it's when you don't let certain things bias how you know other things. So, for example, if he gives me, or if in the context of the university setting, if someone says, listen, we just want you to do, like the tobacco companies, we just want you to do an independent investigation about whether or not, nicotine causes cancer. And we're going to fund that with $100 million. The likelihood that you'd be epistemically neutral and that your epistemology is probably compromised by money. Sorry, it's a long explanation, but that's basically what it is.
Is there a difference between epistemologically neutrality and epistemologically objective?
Between epistemologically objective and epistemologically what? Neutral?
Neutral?
Yeah, I don't think it's possible to be, was it possible to be epistemologically? It's easier to be epistemologically neutral than it is to be epistemologically objective. Because epistemologically objective means that you're really holding yourself to a much higher standard. Because you're holding yourself to a remarkable, I suppose it's possible, but it's extraordinarily difficult.
Okay, how about this claim? There's a difference between a university being politically neutral and a university being epistemologically neutral. Just there is a difference between those
There's
things.
a difference between a university being politically neutral and epistemologically neutral.
Okay. Where are you?
I'll stay neutral because I don't think I understand the meaning of that term.
So politically neutral, like you wouldn't get involved in the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, or you wouldn't get involved in like anti-racism. Those are political things. Epistemologically neutral is like when you want to figure something out about the world, you look at the data and evidence and come to conclusions. You look at all of the data in as fair of a way as possible and come to a conclusion, and you're willing to revise your belief about that conclusion.
So is there a difference between those things now, in your mind?
I mean, they have different definitions for reason.
Yeah. I just want to get that on the table first.
Okay.
So now, universities should be epistemologically neutral. Okay. How about this claim? If a university is epistemologically neutral, then it should allow indigenous science. Okay. Why?
Well, epistemological neutrality means, by definition, you're looking at the best available evidence and you're coming up with conclusions, and you're trying to not have those conclusions influenced or mediated or passed through any kind of ideological filter. Indigenous science is, by definition, not epistemologically rigorous. In fact, it barely participates in any epistemology at all. They're just claims about the world that are neither testable nor falsifiable, like Maori indigenous science.
Okay. Why are you here?
I think we have a slightly different definition of indigenous science. So like my example is like herbal like ailments or like herbal like what's the word, solutions, supplements, something like that. It's like, let's say like you use like, I don't know, ginseng to cure like stomach aches. That's like something a Chinese person would do, and that's been going on for like in China for a while. I feel like that counts. Like if as a university, your whole thing was like, oh, you should allow you should be allowed to explore what you want, and then you should be allowed to explore indigenous science. You can refute it. You can say it's like, oh, this isn't working. There's like this like guy at like big pharma like funding a much better and more effective solution. But you should still at least have that to explore. I feel like when you go to disagree, it's saying like we shouldn't even start to begin with that at all.
Okay. I have another clarifying claim. valuing testability and evidence is epistemologically neutral.
Ooh, that's a good one. I got to think about that one.
Yeah, valuing testability and evidence is epistemologically neutral. Okay, you're consistent. Where are you? You're there?
I feel like that goes along with the definition.
Mm-hmm. Why are you there?
Because that's what epistemological neutrality means, is you just look at the best available evidence, remove your biases, make a decision based upon that evidence. You're a slave to whatever the evidence is.
That valuing of being a slave to the evidence, is that a value?
No, it's not a value. It's a part and parcel of what it means to be epistemologically neutral. Like if you weren't that, then you couldn't be epistemologically neutral.
Okay.
But yeah, I had a first like initial thought of like if you value something, that goes against like the whole I don't value anything in the pursuit of knowledge.
Again, it's just testability. Like if you think you can come up with a better silicon chip by sacrificing a goat in the head of a hood of your car, and then it will come to you through divination or something, or through some divine spirit, you're certainly welcome to do that. We can test that. But the epistemological neutrality there is to see if the product that you come out with is actually a better silicon chip.
Okay. How about this claim? Universities were just as epistemically neutral in the year 1800 as they were today.
That's a good one.
Okay.
They had a different governing ideology. So it was primarily Christian and religious then, and now it's primarily critical social justice. So they had a different set of values, a different suite of propositions and conclusions that there was a kind of universal agreement that they should institutionalize.
Okay. The epistemological neutrality that you value is oppressive to Christian concepts of epistemic neutrality.
Is what?
Is oppressive.
That's gonna get, wow, this is like a no-win question. Let's see. Say that one more time. I gotta let that sink in.
Your conception of epistemological neutrality is oppressive to Christian conceptualizations of it.
I got to think about that for a second.
What do you think?
I'm on neutral because I felt like it's very hard to lump a bunch of universities together, like back then and now, like Christian Methodist University.
What about this new claim?
Well,
Of the valuing of objectivity, testability, evidence, that is oppressive to the epistemological norms of classic Christianity.
That's just a monstrously good claim.
You're neutral? Or thinking?
neutral. I'll stay neutral on this.
Why are they oppressive? Go ahead.
Well, they're oppressive if you believe that you can figure out what's true through personal testimonies. That your personal experience can somehow lead you to objective truth is itself. And if you say, no, you cannot use personal testimony to lead you to objective truth, that could be perceived as it can be legitimately perceived as a kind of epistemic oppression.
Okay, how about this claim? It's possible for a university to be epistemologically neutral and oppressive.
Really?
Why?
I felt like that was in the definition of like whatever the neutral thing. Like if you're neutral, you don't value anything. If you don't value anything, you can't be like in favor of one thing or other. And I think that's how you probably define oppressive. It's like squashing down this in favor of that. Currently, I don't think universities are either, and I think that's kind of why here. If it was truly neutral, then it can't be oppressive. If it's that mix and match, I think that you would get like today, which is what I think today is. I think then you get the situation that you're in, or the position you're in.
What do you think?
I think, I'll be blunt, I think that we're under the spell of a mass delusion right now. And many people view that repudiating those delusions, like racism is the ordinary and everyday state of affairs, or there are no differences biologically between men and women, repudiating those could be seen as oppressive to the lived experience of, say, trans people or marginalized African Americans. But those claims are just not epistemological. They're not rigorous. They're barely scientific. If they're fall into the realm of science at all, it's because they're falsifiable. That's probably the most charitable thing you can say about them. So I think it's possible for a university to say no to nonsense, independent of how many people believe that, and maintain the value of a rigorous epistemology. Does that make sense, Reed?
Mm-hmm.
Not so much.
Any questions for him?
Yeah, could you like?
Yeah, I have a question for him. So let's say that the university system tomorrow, you know what phrenology is?
No.
It's like when you look at the bumps on, it's like the Nazis used to use it. They look at the bumps on people's heads, the protuberances, and they make judgments about a person's intellect, race, etc. Let's say that tomorrow, here at Williams, phrenology became in vogue, and they started classes in phrenology. When students matriculated into the university, they had special people who felt the bumps on people's heads and then attributed them scholarships accordingly. Do you think that would be, first of all, do you think there's any truth to that method?
Is there any scientific basis?
None, zero.
So I feel like there's no scientific basis then.
Okay, so if there's no scientific basis then, what would you make of the claims of people who had rather large bumps on their head, who claimed that they were being denied certain privileges, who claimed that they were being oppressed? What would you make of that claim? I have a bump on my head. All of the books that say people who have bumps on their heads in this place are special, they're smarter. I deserve something because of this bump on my head.
If it's true, I don't see.
But it's not. We already know it's not true.
But okay, so let's say like the books are saying it. What are they being backed up by? Is it just?
So they're saying, listen, I'm looking at these phrenology textbooks. It says if you have a bump right here, you're really an extraordinary person. We were institutionalizing this. We should continue to institutionalize this, and not doing so is a form of bigotry and oppression. It's a non-scientific claim. There's no evidence for it at all.
Okay.
So that's why I'm on strongly agree, because you can be, in order to be epistemically neutral, you have to say that certain beliefs and opinions cannot be factored into the canon of knowledge. That's what epistemically neutral means. We cannot claim that a bunch of maniacs who believe that bumps on their heads, in the same way for Reed's question about Christianity, if you're going to make an extraordinary claim that someone walked on water or what have you, in order to include that into the canon or as a way to teach people, to be epistemically neutral means that some opinions just cannot count. They just can't.
I have a new claim.
Yeah.
It's a form of Western imperial privilege to claim your form of Western European epistemological norms are neutral. Yeah. Do you understand that claim? Any questions about that?
Western imperialism makes you think that. I'm just repeating your phrase, by the way. So Western imperialism makes you think that your belief system is neutral. Is what you're saying?
It's a form of Western imperial privilege to claim, the epistemological norms of objectivity in science are epistemologically neutral.
That's just absurd.
Why?
Well, I mean, it's just such a monstrously stupid thing to say. It's difficult for me to actually figure out where to begin to take it apart.
My first thought is you could simplify some of like the words. Probably like if epistemology is like truly, like you said, objective. It's just based on fact. Fact is like.
Well, yeah, it's like
way
how
of
you
life.
know.
You can probably drop the Western.
If I say, how I know something is through reason and evidence, and you say, well, wait a second, reason and evidence is just like a white person's way of knowing things or a Western person. That's just total nonsense. I mean, there are many Indian doctors from India who come and they make some of the finest surgeons in the world. They're renowned for that. Anybody.
How did the Indian doctors get those values?
Well, anybody can participate in it. Nothing is unique about the West, and there are no like Western sciences. Like anybody can. There's no like Canadian math. There's no like Nepalese geometry. There's just geometry.
I think I'd say neutral because sometimes, like the rationality aspect gets mixed in with your own belief system, and then maybe that's like where the confusion gets.
What do you mean?
Okay, so like one example would be if you believe that your like creation science, for example, that's like your like belief system getting mixed in with like your pursuit of science. You assiduously ignore the idea of the Big Bang and like the idea of creation, and then you like trickle down everything. Since then, like that would be an example of a mixture, and to think that would be neutral, I think that's.
But there is no science to creationism. It's just making an assertion, God did it, is not a scientific claim. Like if I want to posit an explanatory mechanism for gravity, and I say, well, it's, the gods in my pantheon have their thumb and they're just pushing down on the universe. That's not a cogent explanatory mechanism. That doesn't explain anything. So to say that something is a Western value, to say that like objectivity, reason, rationality, just because people in the East, people all over the world use those values, use the tools of science. The tools of science are open to anybody. They have nothing to do with, you could use the tools of science in a mountain in Kathmandu. In fact, you probably do when you wear warm clothes when you go hiking up there.
All right, go back to neutral. The universities should be politically neutral. All right, and the universities should be epistemologically neutral. Great. All good. Thank you.
Thank you.